This is an OVS, Overland Vehicle Systems, 270-degree awning. This is a giant batwing awning that will cover the back, which is where I like to cook and be outside. But it will also cover to the front, to the doors, so I can access my fridge and kind of just have a nice, dry, shaded place to work with. Why I love this awning is because I can deploy it and put it away by myself. Obviously, as a solo traveler, you have to think of these things in mind. If I had an awning I couldn't put away by myself, that wouldn't do much good. A question that does come up is, how often do I deploy it? Is it worth the weight of the truck, right? Smaller plastic, you have to think about what you're adding and whether it's justified, right? Are you going to keep using it? Is it worth having on your truck? And for the ease of setting it up, I love having it because there's nothing more important than I think shade, especially when you're in the Southwest desert or anywhere that there's no shade. Everyone can get out of it, hot and visible. Just having some shade and some protection, I think, is pretty key. So for me, the weight is justified, even if I don't use it maybe every single day. I love having it. Welcome to the inside of my tiny home. So now we have the camper top popped open. Definitely provides more space. The bed platform can always go away too, up and into itself to provide more room. But to start the tour, so this side that I'm sitting on, this long bench seat, I actually designed it to become a stealth platform. Maybe I'm in a situation where I don't want the camper top open. Then I can put this bench. This bench seat is two-fold, so it swings out to the middle. This section right here has its own platform, and then these cushions double as a mattress. So then I can sleep in the back of the truck and not have any worry of people knowing that I'm there. So with the camper build, I had the option to add a window. The fun thing about these campers is it's fully customizable. You design it. Whether you want a window on this side, that side, both sides, maybe no windows at all. It's kind of up to you how you want to design it. For me, I knew the layout was going to be like this, that side would be this. A window doesn't make sense. This side, a window, lets some light in. There's a screen here. I can open it, some more airflow. This was fully intentional. The other fun thing about the camper is it's fully insulated. There's insulation here. There's insulation under the subfloor. The roof is insulated. This white carpet material is actually insulation. It's one of their newer features that they've started offering. And so this thing is fully insulated, which is awesome. The insulation, I think, comes in handy both in hot and cold weather. As you have seen, the camper is black on the outside. A lot of people ask if that's pretty hot in the summertime, and the insulation actually helps mitigate that, even just a little bit. It's not nearly as hot as you think it is here in the summer. But with being a traveler and living on the road, I do migrate with the seasons, right? So right now I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. It's beautiful, and we're at the end of March, we're at the end of February. But as it warms up, sure, I'll migrate more north, and as it gets hotter, go for the higher elevations. So I do chase the seasons, which is really fun to do, and I've enjoyed it. But for staying warm, I recently installed a diesel heater. This is actually the newest addition to the camper, and I've only used it a few times so far, but it has worked really well. The diesel heaters crank out some serious heat, especially with this small little space. It heats up super fast, and then that works really well. For cooling, there are 3 giant screen windows. They open up fully. There's a screen here. There's actually screens on the outside of this that I installed, little Velcro screens. It's something that, like, for a backdoor patio, I've made one fit for back here. And then there's also a fantastic fan on the roof. So back here, we've got the lagoon table, obviously. So this lagoon table, I've really enjoyed having it. Again, with the small space, this can fold away in on itself. It's compactable, but also it can spin out of the way any direction. And what I like about it was, originally I thought I was going to work up this space. It's a little too far, it's a little uncomfortable. top was a commissioned piece by a really good friend of mine. So in continuation to the back of the camper, back underneath here are 2 Renogy batteries. So my battery bank is back behind there. And then obviously you can tell that I've got a battery controller that kind of gives me some stats on the batteries, and then the 1200 watt inverter for charging electronics and whatever else you might want to charge. So the solar is coming off of the 200 watt panels on the roof. It feeds down. There's actually a solar controller behind here that you can't see, and then that feeds down to the 2 batteries that are back there. All the wiring that I did by myself. We're in good fortune that it hasn't burned down yet, so that is great. It means I think I did it all right, but it works. The batteries power exclusively everything in the camper, and then the fridge that's up in the cab of the truck. Love for being outside and being away from everybody, and I think that progressed into this crazy independent streak of being self-sufficient. I've always just kind of picked up weird knot-end skills and things like that, and I love the idea of being self-sufficient and just being able to take care of myself and in any scenario. So you combine that with the adventure, and then now you start adding a vehicle, which I guess is the overland scene of being self-sufficient. You're out in the middle of nowhere. All of this combined, and I was like, that I love. And I actually didn't know of the overlanding thing. I didn't know that this way of travel and the way of living was a thing until a few years ago. So me in the truck, sleeping in just the bed of the truck, that was my adventure. That's where I started. And from there, I started meeting people, and I started doing these group rides and really off-roading with other people. And that's where I saw people that had, guys that had trucks fully decked out, right? They had the solar, they had the fridges, they had the tents, they had all this stuff. And I was like, what is this? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And that was when overlanding was introduced to my world. And that's when I said, okay, I love that. And the build then grew from there. So from going from a truck bed, sleeping in the back with just a sleeping mat and a sleeping bag, to building a house on wheels and living out of it full time. All right, so now we're on the passenger side of the truck. And on this side, I'd set it up kind of to be more of the storage, the real storage for me. So kind of a closet, I guess, or dresser, and the not vanity, but a storage for my toiletries and things like that, and my shoes and stuff like that. So behind this section, I've got some of my coats, some hoodies, things like that. It's kind of like some storage for things that I don't need maybe every day, but easy access, that they're back behind there. And then I've got my 4 bags. They're happily labeled, kind of nice and easy grab and go. And these are from Step 22 gear. They've worked really, really well. And below that is going to be, it's just pretty simple, but just a couple of totes for things like your toiletry items, maybe stuff for showering. There's a medicine cabinet down there if needs to be. And then below that, it's going to be my shoes. There's a wastebasket down there. And so everything's just kind of nice and organized, which is how I love it. I know where it is. I know where things are labeled, and it just keeps it nice and clean and easy. One question I do get asked is if I have a toilet, and I do. It's one of the, it's not a cassette, the briefcase style ones that pop open, and then it's got a little bag that attaches to it and has the powder in the bottom of it. So that is stored in there. I've only used it a few times. For me, I'm kind of in the rugged mentality that I'm usually way the far away from everybody else. So I'll grab a shovel and head for the woods. I have no problems doing that. But there have been some mornings, or there are some times where you're near a lot of neighbors, maybe you don't have that option. And so I can set it up either privately outside or I can set it up inside the camper. So that's a tour of the downstairs. This is kind of the living area and the social hangout, but bedroom's upstairs. So come on up and I'll show you what's up there. Welcome to the upstairs. So this is where I sleep. This is about a twin size, give or take. 2 people can sleep here, or two full adults can sleep up top. And I've got about 5 inches of memory foam to sleep on, because when you're living on the road, you might as well be comfortable. And the bedding stays up here full time. I know for some rooftop tent scenarios, you have to pull all the bedding down, and if you have a big thick sleeping bag, but for me, the blankets work. It's either a screen or it's covered. These ones have 3 layers. So there's a screen, there's a plastic covering, so if you don't want the breeze to come through, and then there's the covering if you want to black it out. I guess technically 4, because they've got the insulation on right now. But when I want a nice breeze, or say the night has a great temperature, open all the windows, and it's just so beautiful to be able to look out. And when all the windows are open, it's just this wide view of wherever you're at, wherever you're camping, and it doesn't get better than that. I was approached by a company while I was just out doing my thing, and they said, hey, you're out there doing what you're doing. We actually need somebody like you to go map trails. This is for Onyx Off-Road. So fortunately I landed a gig with them that I'm able to go map trails and continue to do it. So that was presented into my lap. But I don't think it would have been presented if I hadn't just made the commitment to go. So it is interesting how things work out if you just follow, just go for it, right? It sounds silly, but it really worked out for me that I didn't have a financial plan, and I was okay with it. And I was like, it doesn't matter, I'm still going. And then down the road, an opportunity presented itself, and I'll pick up odd jobs here and there, and the money works itself out. And I think things do work themselves out. So if you're always held back by this, well, I'm not ready because of this reason or another, it will work itself out. You do need to get yourself prepped to live on the road, obviously. You know, have a place to live and make sure your vehicle's in good working order, this, that, and the other. But yeah, I would have been held back by a half dozen reasons, and it really does have to come to a point where what's more important to you? I mean, are you going to be in fear and hide behind your reasons you never going, or will you still just go for it and just make it happen? So this setup back here is a home-built setup, camper setup that was done in a driveway in 2 weeks in the February cold of northern Utah, and a friend and I just busted it out. It's completely 100% homemade. It's not perfect by any means, but it's home, you know. It's actually held up in the last 2 years, so I'm pretty proud of that, and I'd like to show you a little bit more. But so this is the drawer system. 2 parts to it. So the top I designed to open this way, so I can access stuff. Say if the weather's bad and I'm kind of hungry down inside, I can access my coffee, Jetboil, things like that from the inside here. Obviously, then I can, if I'm out here, like I normally am, I can access it from the drawer. This one has the spices, Jetboil, coffee stuff like I just mentioned. This one's gonna have more of like my pans, cutting boards, plates, some of the bigger items, and more heavier items are on the bottom. Now on the right side, or driver's side of the truck bed, this is the cabinet space. I built this to be able to pop out. It doesn't always quite stay, but this area becomes sort of my kitchen. And I have a single burner propane stove on this side and a recently installed diesel heater on the other side, which has been a game changer. This arm on the swing out has a table that will swing out and come down, so then I have even more workspace. And off my propane stove. So then I've got my propane tank here. I got this off of a marine store, so a boat store. A lot of people have asked that interesting cylinder shape. It's from a marine store. A Lifesaver jerry can. What I love about this is actually one of my favorite things, is that it's got purification built into it. So I can fill up water at a river, at a lake, and this will purify it enough for me to drink it. And I think that's incredibly key, especially with how remote that I go. Sometimes I won't always have water readily available, and that will filter for me. And then next to that, obviously red, we've got fuel in here, and then I've installed a tiny little diesel tank on the outside. With my water source, I do only have the one water source, and I will use it for washing dishes, washing myself, with my hands, while you're cooking, and then things for showering, which has a nice attachment that does allow it to shower and things like that. So if I'm in dire straits for needing a shower, then I can set it up. I can pull the hose over there and just kind of rinse off and shower, kind of out in the wild. It's nothing glamorous, but hey, it gets yourself clean and it's good. I mean, I've jumped in plenty of river, plenty of lake to kind of rinse off, but I guess you kind of adopt this different mentality when you're living on the road or you're living out here, that, yeah, we don't have flushing toilets per se. Maybe some of the rigs do, but mine definitely doesn't, We don't have the hottest showers every day, at least I don't. For me, I don't have all these luxuries. I don't have them every single day, and I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need any of that. I don't need some of the things that cripple people from not doing this, For them, they're like, I can't live without that shower. I can't live without that flushing toilet. And I think there's a different breed of us that are like, nah, we don't care. So last part with this area, if you look up, you get to see, this is kind of my travel journal. It's some of the places that I've been. It's not all-inclusive. I'm missing a few things for sure, but this is my travels. This is everywhere that my truck has been or I have been, and everything from national parks to across the borders to Canada, Mexico, some of the breweries, some of my favorite breweries, and this is my travel story, just a visual representation of the places that I've been, and it's fun. This is one of my favorite things to do, is get a patch and it's like, I was there, and other travelers will see it, and then you start talking stories, and like, oh, that one time that I was, at this national park, and this, that, and the other. It's just another way to connect with other people and to just share your story and your journey. Especially with traveling solo, you meet so many people. You meet travelers. You're camped up somewhere and you start talking to your neighbor, or you meet community online, especially that other people living on the road full time, and other off-roaders and things like that. And the community is massive online. And then you meet in person and you're like, you're just as cool in person. And you're never really alone, Yeah, you might be alone here where you're camping or by yourself eating dinner, but people have your back and they want to do that for you, and you want to meet up, which I do. So I do a healthy balance of both, where there are days when I just want my alone time and I'm camped on this beautiful lake alone in the serenity of nature, and I'm so at peace. To me, I love nothing more, and I'm content with my company. And then there's days when